Thank you, Erica. So thank you, Erica, for that overly generous introduction. Lyndon Johnson, when he used to get one of those, would say, "I wish my parents were here. My father would have appreciated that, and my mother would have believed it." Well, my parents are here, and neither one of them believed it, but I bet they both appreciate it. Erica, I join everyone here in thanking you and appreciating you and your husband, Mark, for your leadership of this organization, which is a core part of its strength. I'm going to start tonight with 3 stories. Tuesday morning last August, 2-year-old Noam Levy was found in his pool. He was not breathing, he was unconscious, he had no pulse. United Hatzalah EMTs arrived in seconds and performed CPR, and he started breathing again. He was airlifted to the hospital in critical condition but alive, and had he waited for an ambulance, Noam would not have survived. This is Rania Abu Shaban from East Jerusalem. When she was a child, her grandfather had a stroke and he passed away before help could arrive, so she wanted to learn how to save lives. So she trained to become a volunteer medic with United Hatzalah. She's now earning her PhD in medical systems administration. She's the first woman in her entire family to get a higher education. And when she drives an ambulance, she is the first Muslim woman in East Jerusalem to do so. She said that the training from United Hatzalah showed her what she could do. In her words, "A PhD is the beginning of my future life, a way to help the world and humanity in honor of my grandfather." 3 years ago tonight, Amy Benishai, who's here tonight, was visiting Israel with her husband, Jack. This is her granddaughter, who had 104 and had a seizure and was unconscious. The first United Hatzalah volunteer who arrived was a Muslim volunteer. And Amy was worried about that, and she asked for a Jewish volunteer instead. And she was told, all of our volunteers are well trained. And then 2 Jewish volunteers arrived. They saved her life, her granddaughter's life. But it was that Muslim volunteer who stayed at the hospital with her granddaughter many hours after everyone else had left. And as Amy told us and allowed us to share this story tonight, she had spent her whole life viewing Arabs as the enemy, as a threat to her family, but she no longer could. They saved her grandfather's life, but they transformed her. These 3 stories get to the very heart of what United Hatzalah does, founded on a belief that this incredible man, Eli Beer, had, that no one should die waiting for an ambulance when help could be right around the corner. This organization was started when he was just 16 years old. Today, 6,000 volunteer medics respond to 1,800 emergency calls every day, with an average response time of 3 minutes across Israel, 90 seconds in major cities, which compares to an ambulance response time on average of 12 to 15 minutes. United Hatzalah has treated over 5 million people, saved thousands of lives. And as someone who knows very firsthand the real devastation when someone's life is not saved, I know the tragedy that these families are spared by this organization. But United Hatzalah does not just save lives, it changes lives. United Hatzalah empowers women. 1,100 of those volunteers are females, and the most active female medics average 100 calls per month. Per month. Now, many of these women grow up in communities and live in communities where they face very significant pressure not to work outside their homes. But then they become a volunteer medic, and they do work outside their homes, and they do the important work of saving lives. And then it inspires them so often to get professional training, often in the medical field. It shows them, it shows their husbands, it shows their communities what they can do. and they can pursue their dreams, step into leadership roles, and have more power in their homes and communities. It shows their daughters and their sons what they are capable of. Men have run the world for a really long time, and I'm not sure it's going that well. United Hatzalah is part of the long march to equality. United Hatzalah also builds community. There are so many things that divide us: religion, sex within religion, politics, our beliefs. But there is something so much more important that unites us, and that is the sanctity of human life. United Hatzalah transcends divisions and expands who people consider part of their community. As we work together to save lives, we find our common humanity. I got to see all of this firsthand when I visited the United Hatzalah headquarters with my family 2 summers ago. I was blown away. And I expected to be impressed, but I was blown away. I was blown away by the passion that Ellie Beer has. I am here tonight because Ellie was randomly sitting next to my parents on an airplane. And he did what he always does, which is he took every opportunity to build support for his organization. But I got to see him with his leadership teams, and it was one of the great examples of true leadership I have ever seen. I was blown away by United Hatzalah's technology, and that's an area where maybe I'm not so easily impressed. But I was, because United Hatzalah has built the technology to identify the closest volunteer for any emergency. They get there faster the same way your Uber driver gets there faster, because it's a distributed model. But he thought of this long before organizations like Uber thought of distributing work in this way. I was impressed and grateful for how United Hatzalah is using Facebook. 90% of the United Hatzalah volunteers find United Hatzalah on Facebook or Instagram. They are huge users of WhatsApp to connect with supporters, using WhatsApp to give live emergency updates throughout the day. And as Ellie told me, the best publicity they ever got was when popular blogger Nusir Hussain launched a video on Facebook about Ellie, which is now the most widely viewed video about any Israeli nonprofit and has been viewed 47 million times. At Meta, the company formerly known as Facebook, that's our mission. Our mission is to help people connect and share, help people come together, and United Hatzalah is a great example of what is possible. When I visited the headquarters, I was blown away by the innovation. They developed the AmbuCycle, which never gets stuck in traffic, and coming soon are foldable cars, the first of their kind. I was blown away by the drive for efficiency. Anyone who's ever worked with Michael Brown, as I got to on this night, knows how efficient this organization is. And I was blown away by their drive to share their technology with anyone in the world who wants it, regardless of what community they're for. In tech, we call that open source. Everyone here tonight is a key part of this community. The board and the executive committee cover 100% of the operating costs. That means that every dollar any donor gives goes to purchase equipment and train volunteers. The money raised tonight and all year long helps United Hatzalah respond to all calls and never charge a patient. I'm so grateful to all of you, including our chair, Tila Falik, for your commitment, because none of this happens without everyone here tonight, and I really want us to applaud all of you. For me, it's so natural for my parents to be part of this community. I come from a good Jewish family. Children are supposed to be doctors. It was passed down through the generations. My grandmother had 2 sons, my father and his brother. She had about 40 pictures in total of their childhood. and then about 400 pictures of his med school graduation. I am the black sheep in my family, the only child of Adele and Joel Sandberg not to become a doctor. But my parents have shown me and my siblings, David and Michelle, and all of our spouses and all of their grandchildren who are here tonight, what it means to have a commitment to make the world a better place. It runs through the stories of our family. My mother's grandmother was very poor, Grandma Mom, and she had a tzedakah can. And she put it on the table, and when things were good, she'd say, let's put some cans into the tzedakah box. And when things were bad, she would say, someone else is worse off, let's put some coins into the tzedakah box. It ran through our childhood. As you already heard tonight, my parents worked tirelessly helping Soviet Jews and dissidents escape the tyranny of the then Soviet Union. They worked with activists all around the world, from grassroots to the highest corridors of power. They marched, they protested, they demonstrated, often with the three of us on their shoulders. My mother co-edited 15 books, stories of refuseniks. And the result of their and so many other people's work is 2 million Jews emigrated from the Soviet Union. 1 million of those made Aliyah to Israel, and many of their children are now United Hatzalah volunteers. Today, my parents work for United Hatzalah with that same passion they worked decades ago for Soviet Jews. It is amazing to have parents who are always there as parents, as grandparents, through the good, through the bad. They live full and rich lives, but their lives are only complete when they are doing for others. Mom and Dad, I know I'm the kid, so maybe not my place, but I am so proud of you tonight and always. For your work with the great Amy and Daniel David, the great Giddy Beer, founder of the Women's Division, to grow the women's unit in Israel with a goal of doubling the number of female medics so that those women can save lives, empower themselves and other women, and build community. I grew up with the phrase tikkun olam. As Jews, we are called upon to help others and repair the world. If there's one organization that does this, it is United Hatzalah. And I'm so grateful to all of you here tonight for making this possible. And now, because it's better to see than to hear, I get to share with you the amazing story of one of the female medics.